Hello, friends. I am Michael Kingswood. I write fiction for fun and profit. And this is the first time I've been on here in a long time. Been away from YouTube and Rumble and other space for a while here. It's been a weird couple of months, but I've been doing other stuff, and I kind of figured, oh, shoot. I kind of gone through the grommet on a few things, and I better get back to seeing all my buddies online. So here I am doing a stream because that's what we do when we have fun. So hey, Kingswood, where you been? What you been up to? So the fun thing is a number of fun things and some painful things. The painful thing was knee surgery. Woohoo! So I'm an old guy, like quite old, getting older by the day, just like all of us. But I had knee issues in my right knee from the Navy that I've been dealing with for a little while. Back in the day, I used to run marathons, did triathlons, did a whole bunch of other kind of fun stuff like that. And fracture fasciitis and the knee kind of killed me on the run. Been continuing to bike and hit the heavy bag and lift and stuff, but running, no, not so much these days. But I wasn't so bad until back in December. It was like, holy smokes, it was like suddenly started killing me. And it's funny because the knee is one of the things that I've got a disability rating on with the VA. And when I first got out of the Navy, it was rated, but I asked them to reevaluate it, and they raised the rating for it. And I honestly felt a little guilty about it because they're like, oh yeah, I know it's been bad, but is it really that bad? And then come December, I was like, oh no, it's really that bad because I could barely walk and could barely do a whole bunch of stuff. And so bad I went to the ER because I was like, the way it felt, it's like, did I somehow screw up a ligament or something? But like, no, it's just osteoarthritis. It's just arthritis. I'm like, arthritis, that sucks. What do we do? Yeah, take these pills. Go to physical therapy. Gee, thanks. But it got better. And from until January until April or so, it was like, oh, okay, we're doing all right. And then in April, it got back to being pretty bad. May it got really bad. And so I went back to the ER, and I finally got them to answer my primary care person, and finally got them to give me a referral over to the orthopedic people. And yeah, the ortho guy was like, well, dude, you need to do arthroscopic surgery. Oh, well, that's going to be fun. He's like, yeah, it's going to be great fun. Okay, well, can we just skip everything and go straight to titanium? He's like, nah, you're too young for that. I'm like, well, I'm old. He's like, well, yeah, you're still too young for that. It wears out. I'm like, fine. So we scheduled the surgery. And so I ended up missing out on LibertyCon in Chattanooga, which I usually go to, just because it was going to conflict with the ortho appointments, and because at that point I couldn't walk very well at all, and I was like, oh, geez, this con's going to suck. If I have to walk around all day, and it's like, I was actually, sometimes I was using crutches. It was annoying. Anyway, but anyway, we scheduled the surgery, and that got done at the beginning of August. And the doc was like, hey, man, yeah, so you'll just walk out after an hour or two. You can go under, but you can walk out and be fine. I was like, oh, cool. It's like, we'll give you some pain meds. I'm like, well, doc, I've had Percocet and other things before in the past, and all those things just sort of just make me sleepy. Don't do anything for the pain. He's like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, well, we don't have to give it to you. I'm like, well, put it on the prescription just in case. Like, okay. So we do the thing and come out of it. And my ex comes and picks me up. Walk out. Yeah, a little bit of soreness, but not too bad. But get home, I'm like, yeah, not a big deal. I'm like, well, shoot, I'm just not gonna be moved around. I'm a 2-level house. I brought my laptop down to the coffee table, and I was like, I'm just gonna camp out here, and I'll get a lot of writing done, and all that other sort of thing. And then by afternoon, I was like, oh, son of a gun, this really hurts, and so. My ex go and get the pain meds for me. Hydrocodone, woohoo! And I was like, man, I don't want to take this. But by evening, I was like, okay. So it took a little bit, I didn't know much of anything, as usual for pain meds and me. But I figured, yeah, what I thought going into it was much different from what I got coming out of it. Because I was like, oh yeah, sure he's poking around inside there, but he said I'll walk out, should be fine. You know, recover pretty quick. And I guess it was pretty quick, but there was a couple days there where I was like, I'm not leaving my couch. And it's like, I'm not moving. This sucks. Even going over to the bathroom, this sucks. So I was like, oh, I should write. Screw it. I'm putting on The Sopranos. So my teenage son was over and he was just like, all right, taking care of dad for a while. I'm like, oh, great. So this is awesome. But after a couple days, it was pretty much the past the worst of it. But that's when I realized I had miscalculated, because I had also kind of assumed that would be able to continue doing my normal, money making stuff, driving the Uber thing and other stuff. But when I'm laid up that long, it was only a few days. Was like, holy cow! Now I'm behind on cash flow, and the next thing you know, the week after that, a couple of other financial things hit, and it's like, holy smokes! So the whole rest of August, I'm churning. Oh, I should do some YouTube stuff. Oh, I should do more writing stuff. Well, I got to make the mortgage, so it just kind of got churned. And then, so August passed like that. It's weird. But yeah, so knee surgery kind of screwed up my month of August, but it also made things better. There's a little bit of soreness left with it, but it's not too shabby. We're gonna do some of those little. I'll get to that in a sec. But I did get these cool pictures. Check this out. I got pictures of the inside of my knee. Look at that. Oh man, you can see the doc's implement here as he's going around and looking at stuff. It's like, sheesh. So you got these cool pictures, which are great. Knee's feeling better, which is great. But now we get to the stupidest thing I have ever heard of. So, anybody who's here in the States knows how jacked up our medical system is in the States. I've been mostly insulated from it because I spent, 20 years in the Navy, and as a retired Navy guy, I still, get Navy medicine. Now, it's different when you're retired. I mean, if you're active duty guy, you need something done, you go to the Navy doc, and if they don't have room for you or whatever, they'll send you out in town, but you never have to think about the billing side of things. As a retired dude, sort of a similar process, but you pay more. I mean, it's nothing compared to what the civilian plans are, but you still, got to deal with it. And it's the whole bureaucratic rigmarole of dealing with Native medicine and getting referred out. And my orthopedic guy is a civilian out in town, so I hadn't dealt with the civilian complex since I've been retired. Since I've been retired from the Navy, it's been the only times I've gone to the doctor has been to the ER if I hurt myself. I know it's pretty bad. You're supposed to go and get checkups, but I haven't because I haven't. But anyway, so I have heard, through talking to people in the news about how screwed up the billing sequence is in normal medical life, but I didn't fully understand it until just this week. So this week, when I went up for my checkup, post-op checkup, we did one 2 weeks after, and then one just this last week for my knee, and the doc's looking at it. I was like, yeah, looking okay, but hey, we can do these shots to add some natural lubricant to probably take care of the last of the kinks. And I'm like, that sounds like a good idea. Let's do that. And so it'll probably take forever for TRICARE to approve it. I'm like, oh, whatever, let's put it in and see. And then got a phone call like 2 days ago, on Friday, about this. I'm like, hey, yeah, you got approved by TRICARE. I'm like, hey, it's awesome. I thought it'd be a lot thought it would take forever. It's like, well, they approved it, but they can't tell us how much they're going to cover and how much what your out of pocket's going to be. Like they said, your part's going to be 20%, but we don't know how much that's going to be. I'm like, well, what do you mean? How much does it cost? Like, well, we don't know until they tell us how much they're going to cover. I'm like, no, you don't understand. How much does it cost? I'm going back and forth to the billing person. I'm like, look, well, we don't know until they tell us. No, dude. You know your labor expense. You know your overhead. You know how much the drug you're injecting costs you, and you know the profit margin you need to make. So you know how much you're charging. How much does it cost? And he's like, it's a girl I'm talking to. She's like, well, I could tell you the cash price. I'm like, okay, yeah, what's the cost? It's 5 shots, it'll be $1,000. I'm like, $1,000 per shot or $1,000 total? I'm like, and she's like, oh no, that's total. I'm like, so 20% my out of pocket would be $200. She's like, well, you don't know that until TRICARE says. I'm like, how can you people not know? Like guys, hold on a sec. So are you telling me it costs $1,000 or it doesn't? Well, we don't know. I mean, do you know what your expenses are, right? You know your profit margin you need to make is, right? How can you people not know what your expenses are and what your profit margins? How can you know if you're making money if you don't? If you have to know how much this costs for you. And this person in the billing department is completely flummoxed and clueless. I'm like, well, I don't know how much TRICARE is. I don't care. I'm not asking about TRICARE. I'm asking about how much do you charge for it. And if TRICARE covers 80%, I got to cover the other 20. Then I know how much I have to cover. It's like, and it's like, you absolute retard. I mean, I know I'm not smoking crack. I drink a little too much wine sometimes, but I don't smoke crack. And it shames me to say it, but I have an MBA. I know how business finances work, how managerial accounting works. And it's like, you can't tell me the medical industry doesn't do accounting. And they can't tell somebody how much it really costs to cover their expense. But these people couldn't say it. They're like, I don't know how much it'll cost until TRICARE tells you. Well, how do you possibly stay in business if you don't know what your expenses are? And this right here is the problem, right? So you got all this bureaucratic jackassery, and you have all these people, like the billing departments and the administrative side of things, who only know about the bureaucratic jackassery. They don't know about, actual nuts and bolts about how the medical stuff works or how the business side works. They just know how to jump through the hoops of the very stupid bureaucratic hurdles. So you wonder, there's entire courses of study now for medical administration because of this sort of jackassery. And you wonder why everything's so expensive when you got all this bloat. I mean, I've seen the graphs. I'm sure you've all seen it. Like, ever since Great Society, medical expenses have gone way up. Medical administration has gone way up. Number of doctors has basically not gone up that much. Number of nurses not gone up that much. It's all this other bloat. And yeah. It's one thing to read about it and know about it, but be insulated from it. It's another thing to actually see it. And it's like, dude, guys, this is the stupidest thing ever. Best thing we could possibly do for medical stuff at this point, I think, is well, obviously you have to get rid of all the federal Medicaid, Medicare, all this. Outlaw insurance, outlaw all federal medical procedures and subsidies and whatever, and cut all those useless jobs, you would see medical expenses go. People say, hey, well, no, they have all this high-tech stuff now. They're doing it. It's expensive. You know, so that means that medicine is the only industry on the planet where increased technology makes things more expensive, which is obviously a non sequitur. So, yeah, I was against government. It's a little ironic, I know, being a Navy guy and having, Navy medicine for all these years, but I've been against government involvement in medicine before. Seeing more of it now that I'm out of the Navy, I'm even more against it now. But that's neither here nor there. Let's see. So anyway, that's what I've been up to in August. I was knee surgerying and recovering from that. But at the end of August came around, I was like, man, what the hell did I do all month? I was just churning and burning, making money, and, recovering from the surgery, which never had any form of surgery before, but that wasn't that bad except for the first 2 days. But I'm sure it could be much worse. I'm sure other people have it much worse, open heart surgery or what have you. But still, I was put enough dent in my cash flow that the rest of the month I was spent catching up with it. And then, so it came in September. I was like, okay, I need to get myself back on the horse. I need to push myself back into the writing mode. I got to push myself back into the YouTube mode, all this other sort of thing. And there's one reward from the Warfare Qualified campaign that whose video I did at the beginning of this stream that I haven't gotten out to everybody yet because of reasons. And that was the collection of 10 short stories for set in the same universe, and I just hadn't gotten around to giving it to everybody yet. The collection is called Rig for Space, and I was like, well, you know what? I'm giving it out to all the backers of the first campaign, but I might as well make it a actual event since I'm giving it out to everybody, and make a little more money from it. And also, so I said I'm going to make a Kickstarter campaign for this, because not only will it make it an event, it'll kick me in the butt to get churning on the writing business thing again here in September, get things rolling again, and just get everything going coming out of the surgery. So on September 9th was my birthday. I turned the big 50, baby. I'm a cop. Maybe I should go to the police academy just to prove it. Anyway, so my parents were in town all week for the birthday, and actually my former in-laws were in town too, because not only was it my birthday, my dad's birthday was, the 6th, and my youngest son's birthday was on the 13th. So everybody was in town for, well, my mom and dad came back here on the 7th. But we kind of did something for Dad. But, everybody was in town for him and me. And so the whole week was spent doing birthday stuff. But I said, as a birthday present to myself, I'm going to launch a new campaign. So I did, and this is, hey, shoot. Okay. We are supposed to, there we go. Sorry. Technical glitch. So I started this campaign here on the 9th of September, running for 21 days. So it's concluding here on this coming Tuesday, the 30th at noon. 10 short stories in a collection set in the same world as Warfare Qualified. And you guys, of course, know Warfare Qualified. There. Held it here. Great book. You love it. I love it. And so do a lot of other people. Let me show you this. Check this out. I got Amazon. I got not a huge number of reviews, but they're all 5-star. But you want to know what the fun part is? I was looking on iTunes, iBooks, and there's one review that over on Bookreads. It's got a 4.5 rating, and on Goodreads, not Bookreads. But I went on to iBooks, and there's one rating on iBooks, and it's a 1-star. I'm like, yes. In fact, I'm a little weird in that I think that if you have a book that's has a whole bunch of reviews and they're only 5 stars. It looks pretty suspicious, so I was gonna do a thing and say, hey, somebody give me some bad reviews, but apparently somebody's already done that on iTunes, so hey, that's all good. But anyway, this campaign is in the same setting as Warfare Qualified, different characters. The whole point was to send the cross section of all across the Confederation Navy, doing fun adventures and just seeing across the life of the Navy. And I set a nice little easy to meet goal. We met this goal in an hour. And you can see here, I set up, I set up a whole bunch of the awards. You can get Ready for Space, you can get Warfare Qualified, you can get the whole year my short fiction collections, all of the ones I got. And I set these stretch goals. I set them out to 1,000. I was kind of like, if you had asked me this time last week, I would have said, we might get to 800. But then in the last couple of days, there's been a whole flood of very nice people who have come and put us pretty close to the final $1,000 stretch goal. So we are just about to hit it, which is awesome. And I'm pretty happy with that. It's a good birthday present to myself. And like I said, kicked me in the butt to get back into the writing business and getting this out, not just to the backers of Warfare Qualified, but to everyone else in the world who loves military science fiction, which is a lot of people. And so, this is going well. It's going for the next almost 2 days now. It's going to end at noon on Tuesday the 30th. And I fully expect we'll crush through this the final initial stretch goal I set up, which will make it awesome. So I'm pretty happy with that. Hey, I haven't showed you the video for it. Let me show you. This is the campaign video for this campaign. If you don't love it after watching this, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, here we go. Speaks for itself. Hello friends, I am Michael Kingswood. I write fiction for fun and profit. But I didn't always do that. For 20 years I served in the U.S. Navy as a submarine officer, and that got me a bit of an experience in how navies work. As a result, I produced this. Warfare Qualified is a military science fiction novel that I started work a long time ago in the Navy, and finally finished up last year. I had written a number of other novels over the years, but this one I kept plucking away at because while I like military and science fiction, I had never been fully satisfied with how many writers portray it. They don't really sound like Navy people, don't really think like Navy people, don't really act like Navy people, and don't really do Navy things. So I was tinkering away on that for a long time. Eventually I ran a Kickstarter for it last year here. The campaign was successful, and I released Warfare Qualified to the public at the end of June of this year. We're working on the follow-up book since people have liked it a lot. A lot of people are reading it. Reviews are coming in. We're working on the follow-up book since... but in the meantime, it's going to take a bit of time, so I wanted to give you guys who enjoy this sort of thing a bit of a snack while you're waiting for the main course of book 2. And that is Ready for Space, this campaign. It's a collection of 10 short stories that I've written in the same universe as this Warfare Qualified book. The universe is an immersive science fiction universe that I created, has all kinds of different political entities in it. But I wanted to show a bit of more of a cross section of Navy than just the one ship we dealt with in this first novel. So we have a collection of different characters on different adventures, different points of their career, highs, lows, having fun, not having fun, getting in trouble, or not. The fun thing about this is if you missed out on Warfare Qualified, you can get the book through this new campaign. And we have a whole bunch of other books of mine that you can get as add-ons and fun rewards and stretch goals that we're going to shoot for. So if you like military science fiction books, or just like fun stories, or just like me, why don't you come join us, have some fun on this campaign. You'll be glad you did. Thank you for your support. Yeah, so, okay, there you go. That's the video I made to promote for the campaign. It's awesome. Campaign's awesome. And I'm even wearing the shirt from the campaign. Check that out. Woohoo! The Frederick Halswell shirt. And yeah, so campaign's going pretty decent, like pretty awesome. Look at this. We are 38 backers, almost $1,000. Heck yeah. I really love setting Kickstarter campaigns with small, easy to meet goals because yeah, you know for sure you're gonna make it, or I do, because I've done this so many times. But anyway, yeah, so if you like my stuff, you like military sci-fi, and you want to support, now is the time. We got 2 days left. We're over at over here at approaching the crushing level. If we could get over the $1,000 range, this will be like, because it'll make it the second best Kickstarter I've ever done. The first best Kickstarter I've ever done was for Warfare Qualified itself, which came in at 2,200. So it's like, hey, look at this. We are cruising. We are on the upward trajectory, going towards where we want to go. To crush to the moon, Alice. To the moon. We want to be the people. We want to be writing the stories that people love, with all kinds of people loving them and reading them, so we can rake in the dough. And I only say that partially tongue-in-cheek. I mean, in reality, I write stories because it's fun to write stories. But also, you know, spending all the time writing the stories, you want to make a little return on your investment. And I love reading good books. I always have. And, you know, hoping people will like reading my books. And so far they have. I just want more people to. So that's why we're here. Anyway, so that's what that happened. That started that on the first week of September. But the fun thing about having the entire family around for the entire week is didn't make as much money doing my normal cash flow stuff in that first week as expected. And also, you know, it was my son's birthday, so I'd spend some cash on presents. And also a couple other things happened is like I was tallying up in my accounting software and I was like, wait, oh snap. I really need to churn again in September to meet cash flow. So I've been churning in September to meet cash flow, and I did. I got everything squared away. I got through the month awesomely. But we've also had a couple of other things happen in the personal matter that were, you know, unexpected, but also are going to end up reaping benefits moving forward in terms of ease of daily routine and cash flow both. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but it's one of those things where it's like, hey, over the last week, you know, the first week in September, it was first full week anyway, it was family. Second week was churning. In terms of, I'm thinking of September in terms of this campaign. First week of this campaign was just my family, you know, churning on that. Second week was churning on cash flow. Third week was this final third week has been churning cash flow and also dealing with that unexpected, and not totally unexpected, but sort of unplanned a personal issue. And so this is the first campaign where I have not been doing constant updates and checking ins, and haven't been pimping it much at all on the various sites and what have yous. I've just kind of been letting it go while I take care of business, and it's been crushing. So it's great. Um, anyway, so ending on Tuesday, the 30th at noon, and they'll have everything out to everybody um, by the end of October, early November. The biggest delay in getting this out to the things out to everybody really at this point is going to be waiting on the Kickstarter to process the cash and doing the surveys through BackerKit. Um, just because that takes a little bit of time. Otherwise, we did make it end the campaign to get it to everybody. But you don't want to spend money to ship stuff until you're sure you've gotten it from everybody. Anyway, so that's there. So what else you been doing, Kingswood? Well, like I said, I've been making a lot of money. Enough money to get by anyway, churning. But also, I've been in a weird way rethinking my relationship with popular culture and media. Hear me out. It's going to be able to sound a little weird. But over the last couple of years, I think a lot of people over the last few years have gotten very dejected with the movie scene and a lot of pop culture stuff, and it's like, ugh, constant sermonizing. And it's like, if I want to listen to a sermon, I'll go to church. But the sermons in the church will actually be righteous, whereas the sermons you're giving me in your movies are the opposite. So please stop. I just want it to be fun again. And I've had this added. I've kind of gotten grumpy about all things movies and all things pop culture and stuff over the last couple of years. But this summer has been kind of changing a lot of that. The summer, like, it's not me, but you know what I mean. It started with Superman, right? Because leading up to Superman, saw the new Superman movie was coming up, but then the trailers started coming out. And the first trailer wasn't all that awesome, and then the follow-up trailers were like, what? And yeah, I kind of tune into a lot of the commentariat on the YouTube space. These guys who I like a lot of them. I mean, I've never met them, but like a lot of what they do. But it's like nitpicking, nitpicking, nipping and pecking at every little hole. They're EFAPing a trailer, right? And it's like, dude, it's a trailer. It's a trailer. You're reading too much into it. I know it wasn't a very good trailer, but you're reading way too much into it. And by the time Superman started to release, I was like, I'm really starting to get sick of these guys talking about how much they think it's going to be bad, and went and saw it. And I was like, as I walked out, I went and saw it with my ex and all our kids, and we walked out, and I looked over at all of them. I was like, that was just wonderful. They're all like, yes, it was great. It's like, it's like, oh, it was like so great just to go and have a joyous, fun time with the movie with Superman as a wholesome dude. No, I mean, I liked I liked what Snyder did with Man of Steel. I had never seen it until I went and coming up to this one. Everyone was talking about Snyder's Man of Steel and the Snyderverse stuff, and I remember when it came out, but I was doing other stuff. I didn't really go see it, and after I didn't see Superman when Superman versus Batman, after I didn't see Man of Steel when Superman versus Batman and the Snyder Justice League and all the other things came out, I was like, well, I haven't seen any of it yet. They're trying to build a whole big thing about it. I don't know. Never mind. I didn't bother to go see it. Right. But in the lead up to Superman, I was like, okay, well, I'm fine to go watch Man of Steel. And dude, I loved that movie. That was great. Um, then I went and saw Batman v Superman and Justice League, the Snyder cut. I haven't seen the original cut. So I cut through my HBO Max membership. Saw those. Um, I actually liked all of them. I did I like them more than this new one? No, it was, and I don't like how everyone's like, oh, Snyder's better, Gunn's better. No, it's just different takes on the same different takes. There's never been one take on any comic character, right? It can't be because Superman's been going for almost 100 years now. It can't be just one take. It doesn't work. But Snyder's take was awesome in a more grounded, pseudo real world esque kind of thing. And the new Gunn movie was awesome in its own respect, in just a balls out, off the wall, hoo-yah, we're in a comic book, baby. There's dimensional imps coming around all the time, and our boys take care of it, and it's such not a big deal that people don't even leave their table at the coffee shop while they just watch the kaiju rampages through the city, because it happens all the time, right? Two totally different takes on the thing, and I liked them both. But walking out of that Superman movie, I was like, man, this is great. So much so that even though I had no interest in the Fantastic Four at all, I mean, I knew about them from back when I was a kid, and cartoons and what have yous, and I never saw the Fantastic Four movies in the aughts, just because I think I knew they existed, but I didn't really care that much. But in the wake of Superman, and seeing all these YouTube commentariat guys talking about how much they thought it sucked, and I was like, what do you mean? It was awesome. And then talking about how much they thought Fantastic Four was going to suck, I was like, huh. I guess I'm going to see it again. And I walked out of it thinking, man, I really liked that. I didn't like it as much as Superman. I thought it had a lot more issues. And I talked about that in a previous video here. But I liked it. And from those two things, I was like, over the rest of the summer, I've been like much less paying attention to the YouTube commentariat space. I've been kind of like, hey, I think I've been missing the whole point of this, which is to have fun. I have continued to pay attention to the man, the myth, the legend, Robert Meyer Burnett, over at the, as he does his observations. And I remember him talking about Superman and Fantastic Four, and him talking about Superman Returns. I'm like, Superman Returns? I knew this movie existed, as I know at some point I had heard of it. But I didn't remember that it existed, if that made any sense. But Rob kept talking about it. And I was like, man, kept talking about it. What?
You've been gone a long
must
time.
Be something.
Where did you go?
So I went and watched the trailer for it on HBO Max.
You have great power. Even though you've been raised as a human being, you are not one of them.
It's not easy for me to live my life being who I am, keeping secrets.
The thing that struck me about this trailer is how much this guy looks like Christopher Reeve.
Mark, hey, welcome back. I see you've already met the Munchkin.
Hello. Yeah, well, you've been gone. Fearless reporter Lois Lane is a mommy.
And, I think this trailer is different from the one that was on HBO Max. But let's continue
But if you
it.
ask me, she's still in love with you-know-who.
How could you leave us like that?
I moved on. So did the rest of us. The world doesn't need a savior, and neither do I.
Yeah, well, we all do, actually. Anyway, I'm not gonna go through that trailer. I'm sure there's issues if I did. But man, Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor and Kate Bosworth. Dude, Kate Bosworth, ever since Blue Crush, it's like, oh, heck yeah. She's great. The mismatched eyes kind of thing is kind of sexy. And also, but anyway, I watched that trailer and I was like, not that. It was a different trailer on HBO Max than that was just now on IMDb. But I was like, man, IMDb only has it ranked at like 6.1. I was like, okay, whatever. But I was like, I'm gonna watch this too. So, and back in August, I put this on. I was on recovery. I put this on. I was like, man, I really liked that too. There were parts of it I didn't like. The opening sequence, the beginning sequence with the shuttle launch off of the back of the airplane and airplane crashing was utterly stupid. Completely stupid. And at one point they kind of turned Superman into like Mr. Stalky guy is he's figuring out what Lois is up to with her family life. And I was a little scared because when they introduced James Marsden's character, I was like, oh god, are they going to make him a cuck? But no, he didn't. They didn't make him a cuck. He was awesome. And Lois was, I was worried that, Lois with the Alpha Widow thing would toss him aside back to Superman, but no, she doesn't. She's kind of, there's an acknowledgement of the bond between the two, Lois and Clark, but she's with her dude now, and, it's like, okay. And Marsden does his own part to save the day. I was like, oh, that's great. I was like, James Marsden. I thought he was good as Cyclops. And the other roles he's in, I didn't know he was in this. It was great. Spacey as Lex Luthor. The problem I have with Spacey's Lex Luthor here is a similar problem I had with Luthor in the original Superman movie. So first of all, Superman 1978, Lex Luthor is the hero. His plan for California is righteous and good, and Superman is the villain for stopping him. That said, he's also a retard, because in Superman 1978, Superman doesn't know he exists. Lex is off doing his plan. He's on track. He's gonna until he calls Superman down. So he calls Superman down to his little sub basement apartment and tells him his plan. Until then, Superman doesn't even know he exists. Right? Lex's plan would have gone off without a hitch. His righteous goal for California would have been established. Would have been spared 50 plus years of West Coast jackassery, except that he is a retard who told Superman his plan. It wouldn't have been so bad if he and Superman needed to have interacted at least once before he calls him down to his sub-basement apartment to trap him with the kryptonite. At least once. Because he's not even on Superman's radar. Superman's on his radar, and I understand why he's nervous about him, but there's no reason for him to think that Superman knows anything about him or would be even aware of the missile test that he's interfering with. And it's like, dude, I love that movie, but every time I rewatch it, I'm like, gosh, you just needed to have a smaller caper of Lex's closer to earlier in the movie that Superman foils and somehow and learns that he exists, and he's like, somehow realizes he's the mastermind behind it or something, so that he's on the lookout and knowing that otherwise there's no reason for there even to be together. And in this movie, good old Superman Returns, it's a similar kind of thing. Kevin Spacey, Lex is doing his thing. He's going to go make his crystalline island off the coast, and it's going to destroy everything and all this stuff. And I'm watching it with my oldest son, and as he's detailing his plan and go out into the ocean, my son looks over at me, is like, why doesn't he just go out into the Pacific? I'm like, excellent point, man. You go halfway between Hawaii and Japan and drop that crystal and make your own island there, and nobody will know you done it till it's happened. You wouldn't kill millions of people, so nobody would probably even complain about it. He could have raised all that real estate that he wanted, done all that other stuff. Now you would have had a hard time luring Superman into it with its kryptonite thing to kill him with, but they could have figured out a way I don't think people fully realize how big the Pacific Ocean is, but oh shoot, it's one of those things where it's like, I just got distracted. I saw that dude named Mike in chat. Hey Mike, I missed you. Sorry, you just said it. Jackassery, an activity by an individual indicating that they are indeed a jackass. That is true. And I am not immune to it. But this is what it is. Thanks for stopping by, Mike. Appreciate it. Anyway, I was saying, yeah, all Lex Luthor had to do was get a boat, go halfway between Hawaii and Japan, toss it, and he could have pulled out his whole Superman Returns caper without an issue. So in that sense, those two Lexes are kind of retarded. That said, I really liked this. There's issues with it, but I had fun with it, and it's one of those things where there's those three movies: Guns, Superman, Fantastic Four, and then this Superman Returns. Is like, I've been rethinking things. It's like, man, I've just been way too negative about movies and stuff over the last little bit here, and I think part of it's because I've been listening to YouTube the commentariat too much. So I've really been tuning that out a lot lately, and I've been finding it's been more fun to be less negative. I know that's amazing to think about, but it is what it is. Anyway, so that's what else is going on. So the other thing I've been thinking about is what to do with here on this channel, which the fun thing about it is, as I've been away for the last month and a half doing, surgery, recovery, and just family stuff and all the other things I already talked about, people have been continuing to tune into previous things I've done, and subscribers keep coming in. And it's like, hey, look at that. Not a huge number because I don't have a huge channel, but percentage-wise compared to what I already have, it's like, holy cow, the channel's growing even though I'm not here, which is nice. But what do I want to do with it going forward? Because part of the purpose of this being here on this channel is to have fun and what have you, but it's also because of things like this. Because I'm writing, and I want people to know that I exist and my books exist, and I want people to think about taking a chance on what I'm putting out there. And so gotta have, so I've gone through a few iterations of things here. For a while I was just reading my stories and doing all that and getting next to no traction, but I kept on doing it because that's like, darn it, that's what I'm doing it. And then I was like, but I love music, so I did music reactions for a bit, and that was fun. But the problem is, and it got a lot of people coming over and viewing and all that stuff, but the problem is, that's not what I want. If all I wanted to do was that, it'd be pretty easy and all that, but the point of this, me being here, is to shed light on books, right? And if all I'm doing is music commentaries, music videos, music reactions, and things like that, it defeats the purpose, and it's sort of lying to the audience about what's going on. It's like, okay, cool. So now I've been these last little few months, I've been commentating on book and writerly things going on here in the YouTube space, as well as continuing to read stories of mine and all that stuff. And no, I haven't put any stories of mine up here in the last month and a half either. I've done nothing here. Anyway, but man, I'll probably continue to do that, but also there's a whole lot of navel gazing in the YouTube writer and book and writerly space, and it's like I don't know that I want to go too far into that, because also if you're only talking about the craft of writing and craft of book selling and all that sort of thing, you're really just talking to other writers. The point is you want to talk to other people too, because other writers might like cool books that I write, but they have their own books. So I don't know. So I had another thought. So back there behind my channel, behind me, you see that poster there, the Star Trek 25th anniversary poster that I got from the first Star Trek convention I ever went to. My friend Peter, his parents got tickets to the convention for him and me, and we all went together and got that posted there. I got this cool little CD pack with a couple of audio books. Books they weren't really called books on tape back then. And I got a little plate, the Star Trek 25th anniversary. Now I gotta look it up. I didn't think to. Star Trek 25th anniversary plate. Here it is. Hey, look at this. Right here on eBay. Now mine isn't signed. Right? This guy's asking for 15 grand because it's signed. Mine is not signed, but I've got this plate. It's that I bought in Star Trek Sacramento. What are you talking about? I bought this plate in 91. Anyway, so I got that same plate. I bought that at that convention, and yeah, because I've always loved Star Trek. I've Star Trek and Star Wars I grew up with. I remember going to see Star Wars in the theater when I was 2 years old. I only remember a couple things from it. I remember the Sandman beating Luke up, and I remember running away down the aisle of the theater from it. I have a few other memories of way back then. I remember when my sister was born, and I remember like a year later when we were in a motel on the way to drive to my grandparents' place for Easter, and her eating the Easter egg coloring pills as a toddler, and my parents freaking out. Those are my earliest memories. Star Wars and my sister. And Easter egg coloring pills. But Star Trek was also very much in me. I was watching it on the Channel 20 DC area. I forget the word this for it. You know, watching reruns and it's like, man, this is great. And when the Next Generation started, I was like, holy cow, there's new Star Trek. Because I remember it being watching it in syndication stuff, but also I'd seen the movies. I don't think I saw Wrath. I know I didn't see the motion picture in the theater. I remember seeing the poster for Wrath of Khan in the movie theaters, but I think that was when we went and saw it, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Was it? Maybe. I gotta look back on the dates of that. I remember seeing that in the theater. I was like, Wrath of Khan, who's Khan? I don't know. And I didn't see it. But we saw Search for Spock. We saw, I know from 3 onward, I saw all those in the theaters. I remember it being in, what was that electronic store called? That was like the cutting edge electronic store back in the day. I remember seeing a Laserdisc version of the motion picture and the Klingon scene. I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I remember seeing the motion picture on videotape and seeing Khan on videotape and on TV when they broadcasted on TV. But anyway, when Next Generation came out, I was one of those guys who was like, "Yay, I'm glad there's more Star Trek, but man, Picard sucks. Kirk is so much cooler. Picard only wants to talk, whereas Kirk was getting in fist fights and getting the girls. Picard sucks." And of course, I grew up a bit and came to love Picard like everybody has. Kirk's still, the man. Cisco's pretty awesome too, but I watched all of Next Generation through elementary and junior high and high school, but the final seasons I was off to college for season 7, so I didn't see all of it until later. Saw the beginning of DS9, the first few episodes, but then again I went off to do other things. Just like I saw the beginning of Babylon, saw the pilot of Babylon 5 and really liked it, but then went off to college. Didn't even realize it got picked up until junior year. Junior year, when my friend was like, ever heard of Babylon 5? I was like, yeah, man, I really wanted to see that. And it's like, oh, it's on, it's great. And so we watched it together. We called it our soap opera for the next year and a half until we both graduated. And then I saw season 5 after the year after graduation. And then Voyager started, and I saw the first few episodes of that, and then Enterprise started when I was on shore duty, and I saw the first few episodes of that, but I was doing other things. And but I've always called myself a Star Trek fan. But yet, when you look at it, until very recently, I had seen like 2/3 of the original series, pretty much all of Next Generation, all of the movies, and very little of Voyager, very little of Enterprise. I haven't even bothered to even look at Discovery or the other stuff since then. And it's funniest reason why. I actually enjoyed the Abrams 2009 movie. Thought it was like, The follow-up was horrific. Star Trek Beyond I actually liked and thought it felt the most Star Trek-y to me of those three, if that makes any sense. But just as happy they didn't make any more of them. But then the Axanar thing came along, which that's where I first learned of Robert Meyer Burnett, and I really liked that show, and I backed their Kickstarter, their Indiegogo for the full Axanar movie, and of course, all the chicanery happened with that. But I got really pissed off by Paramount and CBS, yeah, for suing them, and I was like, dude, I get it. I'm a writer. I understand copyright. I understand, you got to defend your stuff, and that makes sense. But I was like, if you were smart, you would have worked with these guys and made this awesome thing. So they sued the Axanar thing. Axanar got shut down. It was all chicanery, and then Discovery get announced that it happens. It is basically the same time period covering the Klingon War. It's like, you sons of bitches. You shut those, instead of working with these guys with this awesome idea, you shut them down. You're doing something else, doing the same thing. Just screw you. I'm not watching it. And then it turned out that it sucked. I have seen enough of it through unintentionally to realize I'm just glad I didn't watch it. And when they announced Star Trek Picard, I was like, oh man, they can only screw it up. They can only screw it up. So I didn't watch it. And apparently season 3 is pretty good, but it's like, I don't care. And Strange New Worlds, I'm like, it's hard to care. But yet, I still have always considered myself a Star Trek fan, despite that missing a bunch of stuff and not having, and I think not having watched any of the more recent Star Trek stuff maybe makes you more of a fan. I don't know. But I'm coming up with a little bit of a problem, though, because, a couple of years ago, I finally watched all the rest of DS9 a few years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, while it was still on Netflix, and I was like, oh man, I liked it. I liked the part that I saw when I was when it was first airing, but then you got distracted with submarines and just life and never saw the rest of it. And man, that was awesome. But now I'm coming up on a quandary where this is gonna sound weird, but yeah, it is what it is. I enjoy some of the YouTube reaction channels, and there's just a couple channels that I've been following who've been going through all of Star Trek, and one of them is in Next Gen now, and the other one is in DS9 now, and they're going through all of it. I'm like, I really love their takes. I'm like, holy cow, they're going to get to Voyager soon. And I haven't seen all of Voyager. I don't think I've seen past the first half of season 1. But yet somehow but I know about 7 and 9, and I know about a bunch of the stuff that happened, but I haven't seen it all. I was like, oh gosh, how am I going to enjoy what they're doing if I haven't seen it? It's like, oh no, what am I going to do? This is tragic. How can I do this? And it's like, so I went and bought the Voyager DVDs, and I'm going to have them. They'll be over here at my place here in a few days, and I'm going to go watch Star Trek Voyager. And you know what I'm going to do after that? You know what I'm going to do? There's a guy on YouTube who you may or may not have heard of. It's my man over here, Lore Runner. He makes his living on YouTube with going through pop culture stuff and just chit-chatting about things and giving his impressions on what is going on. And what he does, a lot of other people don't do, is he doesn't do the reaction thing where you show the scenes and then talk through it and all that stuff. The stuff that I decided I didn't want to do because I don't want to be a reaction guy. And he just goes through his notes, talks about what he liked and what he didn't like, and thoughts about the episode. Is like, you know what, shipmate, Kingswood, you can do that. So I'm gonna do the similar thing. So the DVDs for this are gonna show up here on Tuesday, and I think I'm just gonna start watching it, and then I'm gonna do Kingswood thoughts on Star Trek Voyager here on the channel. And I'm going to get back to reading my stories. And I'm going to get back to doing these streams and pimping my stuff. And get back here on this. And maybe that will be a nice happy medium. I'll also probably get back to doing some music stuff as I discover cool music things. But going through and talking about story elements that I see here. After Voyager, I'll do Enterprise because I haven't done all of Enterprise yet either. Haven't seen all of Enterprise. And after that's done, maybe we'll go out and do the other ones. But assuming I can actually twist my arm, oh gosh, to make myself do this and stay on top of it and get through it all, that will have two things. A, it'll make sure that I don't ruin my enjoyment or the other people who are going through the Star Trek thing, that I enjoy watching them as they have their thoughts about it. And B, it'll give me some a chance to see the episodes I haven't seen before of a franchise that I like a lot, and it'll give me some excuse to post more things here and do story analysis, character analysis. We'll talk about writerly kind of things as we do that, and I think that can be a good thing. At the very least, I'll have fun. Maybe you guys will have fun with me. So that's the plan. Make sense? I think so. Cool. Alright, what else did I want to talk about here? You might have heard my dog whining a minute ago. She came up and started whining at me, so I think that she probably needs a walk. So I may just cut it short. In fact, I'm gonna. Been here for a little more than an hour, which is, wasn't sure how long I would need, but here we are. Let me leave you once again with the thoughts that this Rig for Space campaign is going on now. It is, in fact, ending on Tuesday, the 30th of September at noon. We are crushing it. Look at that compared to the goal. But you can help crush it more you can get awesome military science fiction stories that you will love. And in fact, let me play the comparison for it. Let me play the campaign video for it again, just because I want to. Hello, friends. I am Michael Kingswood. I write fiction for fun and profit. But I didn't always do that. For 20 years, I served in the U.S. Navy as a submarine officer, and, that got me a bit of an experience in how navies work. As a result, I produced this. Workfare qualified as a military science fiction novel that I started work a long time ago in the Navy, and finally finished up last year. I had written a number of other novels over the years, but this one I kept plucking away at because while I like military and science fiction, I had never been fully satisfied with how many writers portray it. They don't really sound like Navy people, don't really think like Navy people, don't really act like Navy people, and don't really do Navy things. So I was tinkering away on that for a long time. Eventually, I ran a Kickstarter for it last year here. The campaign was successful, and I released Warfare Qualified to the public at the end of June of this year. We're working on the follow-up book since people have liked it a lot. A lot of people are reading it, reviews are coming in, and it's all stellar. But in the meantime, it's going to take a bit of time, so I wanted to give you guys who enjoy this sort of thing a bit of a snack while you're waiting for the main course of Book 2. And that is Rig for Space, this campaign. It's a collection of 10 short stories that I've written in the same universe as this Warfare Qualified book. The universe is an immersive science fiction universe that I created. It has all kinds of different political entities in it. But I wanted to show a bit of more of a cross-section of Navy than just the one ship we dealt with in this first novel. So we have a collection of different characters on different adventures, different points of their career, highs, lows, having fun, not having fun, getting in trouble, or not. The fun thing about this is if you missed out on Warfare Qualified, you can get the book through this new campaign, and we have a whole bunch of other books of mine that you can get as add-ons and fun rewards and stretch goals that we're going to shoot for. So if you like military science fiction books, or just like fun stories, or just like me, why don't you come join us, have some fun on this campaign. You'll be glad you did. Thank you for your support. Well, you heard the man. Go back to campaign. MichaelKingswood.com/rigkick will get you over here to this awesome Kickstarter page. In fact, let's refresh it. Let's see if anything has happened in the last few minutes. Nope, that's okay, because we are still crushing. And you know what? You can help us crush more. So come by, get some good stories, have some fun, have a good time. But I think with that, I'm going to close out. I covered most of what I wanted to say. So hey, it's been a while. I will be back here more often, and so hope you guys join me. Until then, don't do anything I wouldn't do.